The umbrella hat is a ridiculous item. It was patented all the way back in 1880 by an eccentric Seattle resident named Robert Patton, aka the Umbrella Man. He was a bit of a local legend in those parts, known for his fantastical war stories. In the 1970s, Hall of Fame base-stealing aficionado Lou Brock brought back the design to wear in the dugout at Wrigley Field, where Cubs fans were notorious for dumping beer all over the opposing team, specifically his Cardinals. Lou Brock coined it as the Brockbrella, and Cardinals fans quickly bought up the originals. Several Brockbrella theme nights have been held at Busch Stadium over the years. This was, in fact, the only time it's ever been considered cool. Ironically, the next baseball player to don the umbrella hat was the then Cubs player Jay Johnstone, whose legendary 1984 Fleer card picturing him in a Budweiser Brockbrella is considered a must-own for collectors, and it's a contender for the most hilarious baseball card ever, with some of the competition being, of course, the Glenn Hubbard Snake card from the same set, the Mickey Hatcher Giant Glove card, and every Rusty Kuntz card ever printed. Funny photographs are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Jay Johnstone, who enjoyed a nearly 20-year career in the majors with 8 different teams, capturing 2 World Series titles. He had some memorable on-field moments like his pinch-hit 2-run homer in Game 4 of the '81 World Series. This timely power hitting seemed to shift all the momentum toward Tommy Lasorda's Dodgers. The real Tommy Lasorda. You see, I have to make the distinction because earlier that season, Jay Johnstone, with a generous amount of padding under his number 2 Lasorda Dodgers jersey, Tommy's book, and a can of Slim Fast in hand, called timeout and made a mound visit, sending the crowd at Dodger Stadium into an uproar. Retrospectively, Johnstone was anything but an imposter. He was one of the most genuine characters baseball has ever seen. Today we salute the career and the life of master prankster Jay Johnstone. Before we get rolling, if you would, please like and subscribe. Help break down the outfield walls that stand between small ball creators like me and a good audience. This video idea comes from a comment from E. Michaels, who said, "John Lowenstein, the most hilarious. Someone's never heard of Jay Johnstone." Though I was familiar with Johnstone, I was indeed unfamiliar with a lot of these incredible pranks, so shout out to E. Michaels for getting the wheels turning on this idea. Another quick but long overdue shout out, go check out Cody White's channel, Cody White 210. He's a San Antonio Mission staff member who puts out great content. He specializes in the design aspect of baseball. His logo ranking videos are top notch. Jay Johnstone was born in Manchester, Connecticut in 1945. His family relocated to Arcadia, a suburb of Los Angeles, when he was 3. Johnstone was a standout high school quarterback who left 35 football scholarship offers lying on the kitchen counter when he chose to sign with the Angels organization in 1963. Johnstone was batting .340 for the Seattle Angels of the Pacific Coast League when he was called up to fill in for Rick Reichart, who would have season-ending kidney surgery. Johnstone was a serviceable outfielder, but he was known for his bat. He would become the roommate of veteran outfielder Jim Piersall, who was regarded as one of the best defensive players of that era. Piersall was also known for being, well, certifiably insane. Piersall authored a book called Fear Strikes Out, where he detailed the mental health struggles he had while playing for the Boston Red Sox. It was adapted to film in 1957. It's known for this scene where Piersall, played by Anthony Perkins, has an in-game nervous breakdown where he climbs the netting behind home plate. He was demoted to the minors in Birmingham, where his mental episodes would become even more outlandish, and the team would eventually check him into an asylum. He would take prescribed lithium for nearly the rest of his life. Being deemed stable enough to return to baseball, Piersall embraced his crazy disposition, and he was known as a bit of a flake, or a player who didn't take the game too seriously. Some of his greatest hits included going up to bat in a Beatles wig and playing air guitar with the bat, and excusing himself to go, quote, have conversations with Babe Ruth behind the center field monuments at Yankee Stadium. Needless to say, Piersall rubbed off on the young, impressionable Jay Johnstone. The rookie picked up the nickname the Moon Man while returning to a hotel after a night of drinking after curfew. While trying to get his key in the door, he turned to his teammates/drinking buddies and said, "Out of the way, you're standing in my moonlight." The next few seasons he would bounce around with the White Sox and the Athletics, before finding a home with the Phillies during some of their best years in the 70s. In 1976 he batted .318 and put together an amazing showing in the playoffs against the Reds, going 7 for 9. The Reds would sweep them at no fault of Johnstone's. He was traded to the Yankees in 1977. He would get a World Series ring despite not getting any at-bats in the series. He was dealt to the Padres in '79 and signed with the Dodgers that offseason. In the strike year of 1981, Jay Johnstone grabbed his second World Series ring. He would come into his own as the prankster-in-chief of the Dodgers. Though he loved pranking his teammates with classics like putting a soggy brownie inside of Steve Garvey's first baseman mitt, cutting the crotch out of Rick Sutcliffe's underwear, nailing several players' cleats to the clubhouse floor, and innumerable pies to the face, Johnstone had a particular penchant for pranking the skipper, Tommy Lasorda. Johnstone snuck into his office and replaced all of his framed pictures of family and famous acquaintances with pictures of him, Jerry Royce, and Don Stanhouse. Lasorda's spring training office at Dodgerland was much smaller. Johnstone saw it fit to confine him there for the better part of a day, tying his doorknob to a palm tree. He had also strategically disconnected Lasorda's phone cord from the outside. As a second act to the Lasorda impersonation I mentioned earlier, Johnstone and two teammates dressed up as groundskeepers, but I'm going to let Tommy tell this one.
I look up in the sixth inning, and the ground crew is dragging the infield. And on the board, they show there's 50,000 people in Dodger Stadium. And three guys are in coveralls dragging the infield. It's you, Jerry Royce, and Kemmerer Brett. 50,000 people get up and give you a standing ovation.
I did a good job.
Now, all three of you come in the dugout. I find each of you $250. I told you to get a bat and pinch hit for the pitcher. The first pitch you hit over the right field fence for a home run. You may be the only guy in the history of the major leagues who on the sixth inning, the top of the sixth inning, dragged the at the bottom of the sixth inning, hit a home run.
They won the game, too.
We won the game. Now, after I find you, you fellas told Bud Ferrilla what I had done. Bud Ferrilla had a talk show in Los Angeles. So he tells the fans, how could Tommy Lasorda fine these three guys for what they did? The fans are up in arms. The fans are sending in money to help you guys pay the fine. You each receive $750. You give me $250. You guys clear $500. I'm the culprit, and you three guys are the heroes.
Jay Johnstone's interactions with the fans were equal parts hilarious and heartwarming. Once during pregame warm-ups, Johnstone decided he was hungry, so he jumped the field boxes and made a run to the concession stand for a hot dog in full uniform. Another time, also in full uniform, he bailed out of a taxi in gridlocked LA traffic and made a dead sprint down the highway to the Stadium Way exit. The fan favorite would be released by the Dodgers at the end of the 1985 season, ending his career. Being in Los Angeles, it was easy for Johnstone to take on a few acting roles. First as a broadcaster in the 1986 straight-to-video film Body Slam, where Dirk Benedict of the A-Team fame is a manager for a rock band who falls on hard times and turns to managing a tag team of wrestlers played by Rowdy Roddy Piper and the Tonga Kid. In 1988, Jay Johnstone would play himself in The Naked Gun, possibly one of the best comedies of all time. There's a wealth of cameos from sports personalities in this one. O.J. Simpson, of course, Dick Vitale, Jim Palmer, and Cowboy Joe West, to name a few. In this scene, Leslie Nielsen, disguised as an umpire, is trying to gain some intel on Johnstone. Ironically, Johnstone's playing for the Mariners in the film, nearly the only West Coast team Johnstone never played for. Jay Johnstone authored 3 books, All three detailed his life as the premier prankster of Major League Baseball. He also hosted ESPN's The Lighter Side of Sports, where he played to his strengths, infiltrating baseball stadiums under the guise that he was just reporting. He would, of course, pull off elaborate pranks on some of the game's biggest names. A personal favorite of mine has to be Jay convincing Deon Sanders to do an interview over dinner and replacing the roles with a boa constrictor. How I miss 90s television. Johnstone would be heavily involved with charity work for the next few decades. In 2020, Johnstone, a 74-year-old nursing home patient suffering from dementia, would pass away due to complications from COVID-19. His legacy is that of a good player, but an absolutely excellent personality. A type of personality we seldom see in the game anymore, and I'll be the first to tell you, that's a shame.